Syria air strikes. Russia denies tampering with suspected chemical attack site. Russia has denied interfering with evidence at the site of a suspected Syrian chemical weapons attack that drew Western military retaliation. In an interview for BBC's Hard Talk, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said, "I can guarantee that Russia has not tampered with the site." Concern about tampering was raised by the U.S. envoy to the International Chemical Weapons Watchdog. International inspectors are trying to reach the site in Doma, near Damascus. The watchdog, the OPCW, Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, has been meeting behind closed doors in The Hague to discuss the alleged attack on April 7. In other developments, the U.S. is expected to announce fresh economic sanctions against Russia. EU foreign ministers meeting in Luxembourg said they understood the airstrikes had had the sole objective of preventing further use of chemical weapons by the Syrian government. UK PM Theresa May is to make a statement to Parliament after the opposition said it was wrong to have launched military action without consulting MPs. The French Parliament is to discuss the airstrikes. What happened in Doma? The suspected attack, denied by Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's government, reportedly killed dozens of people in Doma, in the eastern Ghouta region. 2 bombs filled with chemicals were reportedly dropped several hours apart on the town. Syrian medical sources say bodies were found foaming at the mouth, and with discolored skin and cornea burns. U.S. sources said they had obtained blood and urine samples from victims which had tested positive for chlorine and a nerve agent. Control over the town has since passed from rebels to the Syrian and Russian military authorities. What did Lavrov say exactly? Kenneth Ward, U.S. envoy to the OPCW, said, "It is our understanding the Russians may have visited the attack site. We are concerned they may have tampered with it with the intent of thwarting the efforts of the OPCW fact-finding mission to conduct an effective investigation." Speaking to the BBC, the Russian foreign minister denied chemical weapons had been used in Doma. "I cannot be impolite with the heads of other states, but you quoted the leaders of France and the UK and US and, frankly speaking, all the evidence they quoted was based on media reports and social media. The event did not take place," he said. "What did take place was the staged thing," he added. Mr. Lavrov also questioned why the US and its allies had carried out air strikes the day before international inspectors were due to arrive at the site. On the air strikes, he repeated the Russian assertion that 2/3 of the more than 100 missiles fired into Syria on Saturday had failed to reach their targets. What was targeted on Saturday? The U.S. says 105 missiles were launched and it believes none were intercepted by Syrian defenses. It says Syria's chemical weapons program has been set back years. One of the 3 sites hit was the Barzak complex, which the U.S. says was a center for development, production, and testing of chemical and biological weapons, although Syria denies this. Are U.S. forces staying on the ground in Syria? French President Emmanuel Macron said on Sunday he had persuaded U.S. President Donald Trump not to pull troops out of Syria and instead commit for the long term. The U.S. has some 2,000 troops in eastern Syria, mainly supporting the fight against the Islamic State group. But soon after Mr. Macron's comments, White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders said an early exit was still desirable. The U.S. mission has not changed. The president has been clear that he wants U.S. forces to come home as quickly as possible. Mr. Macron said later that France and the U.S. shared the same aim in Syria, the defeat of the Islamic State group. The White House is right to recall that the military engagement is against Daesh and will finish the day that the war against Daesh has been completed, he said. France has the same position.